Hello again, YouTube. What is up? This is SS99 here, and I'm coming at you guys with a Pokemon video for once. PokeBeach has announced all the cards that will be coming out for the next Pokemon TCG set called Furious Fist, and wow, that's all I have to say. I thought Flashfire was awesome, but they have completely broken fighting Pokemon even more. When I thought that they couldn't have broken them enough, they've proved me wrong. And I'll get to that in just a second. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go down the list of Pokemon that will be in the set, and if there's any good ones, I will talk about them, but I'm not going to talk about every card because there's like over 100, and I don't want to, make a 2-hour video, so I'll just go down the list and talk about the rares. So anyway, we got Bellsprout, Weeping Bell, and Victreebel. Victreebel is the holo rare of the deck, and its ability is once per turn. You may choose one grass energy attached to this Pokemon and discard it. If you do, the opponent's active Pokemon is now confused and poisoned. So overall, it's not too bad, but I don't know if it'd be really competitive. Its attack is for grass energy and 2 colorless, spiral drain for 60, and you only recover 30 HP. Here's a picture of the card. I know my webcam's probably blurry, and I apologize for that, but my webcam's all I got to do with these kind of videos, so yeah, sorry about that. Alright, now the next big grass Pokemon is Heracross EX. This is what it looks like. It actually looks kind of cool. For grass energy and colorless energy, it does 40 damage, and the attacks of your opponent's active Pokemon do 20 less during your opponent's next turn. So overall, not bad. And of course, for 2 grass and a colorless, it does Giga Power for 80 plus damage. You may have this attack do 40 more damage. If you do, this Pokemon does 20 damage to itself. So not the best EX, obviously, but it's good. It's kind of good. The next ultra rare is Mega Heracross EX. This is what it looks like. It has a Pinocchio nose right there. And it says Big Bang Horn on it. And that's the name of the attack. For 180 minus damage. For each damage counter on this Pokemon, this attack does 10 less damage to your opponent's active Pokemon, for 2 grass and a colorless. If there's a certain strategy to this, maybe it'll work. I'm thinking maybe if the deck is going to be a big deal about this, it may be like something like Mega Heracross Dusknoir, like the Dusknoir from Flashfire that allows you to move damage counters to it, and then you run Max Potion to remove those damage counters to keep it alive. But other than that, I don't personally think that's awesome. But anyway, we have a Shroomish, Leafeon. I don't know if it's a rare or not, or I know it's not a holo, so we'll just keep moving on. That way we can save time. You got Shelmet, and Excelgor, Magmar, and Magmortar. Magmortar's a rare, I believe. Torchic, Combuskin, and Blaziken. And for those who know, Blaziken is my favorite, and he is really good. Probably not competitive, but he is almost there. I mean, this is what it looks like. It just looks really, really, really cool. A shame that he's not a fighting type Pokemon in this set. Otherwise, he would be a good card to run in this deck. But for 2 colorless energies, he does Eagle Grip for 50 damage. And the defending Pokemon cannot retreat during your opponent's next turn. That's actually really good unless somebody runs a Keldeo in the deck. Then it's kind of a problem. But it's still good, and this is the best thing about this. Burning Shoot. Burning Shoot is wow. 2 fires and 2 colorless. You discard 2 energies attached to this Pokemon, and then choose one of your opponent's Pokemon to do 150 damage. Oh my gosh. That is actually really, really, really good. I may run that in a Charizard deck just because I like Blaziken. But enough about that. Poliwag, Poliwhirl, and Poliwrath are going to be in the set. And Politoed too, which has an ability. We'll take a look at it. As long as this Pokemon is in play, ignore all colorless energy requirements in the attack cost of your Poliwag, Poliwhirl, and Poliwrath's attacks. Ooh, that's actually not too bad. Not too bad at all. And So for two, basically, if you run Politoed and you have a Poliwrath, you only need 2 water energies to do 130 damage. Oh, and Poliwrath is a holo rare. I can barely see the holo on the stupid thing. Sorry about that. So, yeah, Poliwrath is a holo rare, and this is what he looks like. And as I said, two water and 2 colorless would make him do 130, but he does 30 damage to himself. But if you're in a protection cube, he'll be fine. And of course, for 3 colorless, you can do 60 damage and choose one of your opponent's bench Pokemon to do 30 damage to. So overall, not bad. So we have a Glaceon. Is that a holo? No, it's not. I have to check now because you can barely see it now. And of course, another EX Pokemon we have is a Seismitoad EX. For a 2 colorless energies, you can do Goo Punch for 30, and during your opponent's next turn, they cannot play item cards from their hand. So it's like an attack version of Trevenant. And for 2 waters and a colorless energy, you can do Grenade Hammer for 130, but you have to do 30 damage to 2 of your own bench Pokemon. Nah, not the best. It's better than Magnezone EX, but not the best. We got Cubchoo and Beartick. Is Beartick holo? No, he's not. So we'll not talk about him. Clauncher and Cloutster. This is a holo rare, and it's a non-EX version of Keldeo, only without the rush in. For 1 water energy, you can do 30 damage, and you can switch this Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. Or for 3 colorless, you can do Splash Cannon for 50 plus, and it does 20 damage for more damage for each water energy attached to it. Oh, excuse me, sorry about that. I almost burped. But yeah, its attack is just like Keldeo's Splash Cannon. So anyway, we got Amara and Aurorus. Not a holo, but it's got a pretty decent effect, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about it. Its ability is, as long as this Pokemon is in play, all of your water Pokemon that have any water energies attached to them take 20 less damage from your opponent's active Pokemon. So, in other words, good news for Blastoise players, this might be a next thing, because what people are using right now are Dredigan to knock out Black Kyurem or Rayquaza, but at least 1 water energy could save Black Kyurem's life if you have an Aurorus in your bench. So anyway, we have an Electabuzz and an Electivire, not a holo, and not really that interesting. Plusle, Minun. Of course, every time there's a Plusle, there has to be a Minun. Thundurus, is that a holo? No, it is not, and it's not really too good, so I won't talk about it. Dedenne, Drowsy, Hypno, is that a holo? Nope. And actually, I'll go ahead and talk about just its one attack that does Psychic, that takes like a Psychic energy. It's kind of got an interesting effect. It's called Hand Control, and you look at your opponent's hand, and you can choose the supporter card there and have your opponent use that supporter. But the it says, however, the supporter cards, targeted cards, and Pokemon are selected by the player who uses this attack. So basically, your opponent chooses the supporter and has to activate it. So anyway, it could be good if they have an in and they have a good hand, but other than that, it could be useful. You never know. Jinx. Its ability is Victory Kiss. This ability can only be used once during your turn. If this Pokemon is on your bench, your active Pokemon recovers 10 HP. There might be a strategy towards that too. We never know. So there's a Skorupi, and then there's Gothitelle, Gothorita, and Gothita, Gothorita, and Gothitelle. And Gothitelle is really good. It's not a holo, but oh my gosh. Teleport Room. This ability is insane. Once during your turn, you may discard a stadium card in play. If you do, search your discard pile for a stadium card and put it into play. So you can discard the stadium card that your opponent has in play to get your stadium back. I would actually run this in a fighting deck, and I'll explain later in just a second. So we've got Golett, Golurk, Machop, Machoke, and the guy who is going to make fighting Pokemon even more crazy than they already are, Machamp. Machamp looks like a beast in this card, and oh my gosh, his ability, Fighting Spirit. As long as this Pokemon is in play, your active fighting Pokemon's attacks do 20 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. It's a Deoxys on crack, and fighting Pokemon have already had enough ways to do more damage. Fighting Stadium, Strong Energy, and plus Muscle Band helps too. Wow. Its attack is pretty decent too. Strength Crusher does 80 damage for 3 fighting energies, and during your opponent's next turn, any damage done by opponent's attack is reduced by 40. Decent, but the ability is insane. And the best part is you can run like multiples of these, and they can stack. So in other words, if you have like 3, that's 60 extra damage. I just can't. So anyway, we got Hitmonlee, Hitmonchan, Hitmontop, the Makuhita, Hariyama, Breloom, Trapinch, Lucario EX. I've already talked about him in a video, but I'm going to talk about him again because I love Lucario. First, as I mentioned before, he is the first Pokemon in a long time to have 3 attacks at once since Heart Gold and Soul Silver, I believe. But anyway, so for 1 fighting energy, he does 30, and the attack is not affected by resistance. It's called Scud Jab. 2 fighting energies it's called Screw Blow, which sounds wrong, but you can draw until you have 5 cards in your hand. Last time I checked, it was 6, but well, I guess 5 is still a good number. And for 3 fighting energies, Somersault High for 100. So after seeing Machamp, I don't know if Mega Lucario EX is going to be necessary anymore. I mean, if you have a good amount of Machamps and a strong energy and a fighting stadium and muscle band on the Lucario, that's going to do... Okay, 1 Machamp, strong energy, fighting stadium, and a muscle band. That's all going to do 180 to 200 damage. If you have more than 1 Machamp, that's going to do a crazy amount of damage. So I don't know if Mega Lucario is going to be necessary, unfortunately, unless you're up against maybe a Pyroar deck, but then again, Machamp can take care of that too. So I may still run him just because I like Mega Lucario, but just a quick review. Downside is he's a Mega Evolution, so your turn ends once it Mega Evolves, and it has 1 attack that takes 3 fighting energy that does 140, and you can discard an energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. So I feel that if you run Mega Lucario in this deck, it's going to be overkill. So anyway, you got Minfu, Minshao, Landorus. Landorus isn't really that good. Pancham, Tyrant, and Tyrantrum, which is a cool looking card, and Hawlucha, Holo Rare. Not really that good. Its ability is don't apply weakness and resistance for this Pokemon's attacks is really good, but the Flying Press only does 60 damage for 1 fighting energy, but if your opponent's active Pokemon is not a Pokemon EX, then this attack does nothing. So, not the best card in the world. And plus, it even with some Machamps and a strong energy and a muscle band and fighting stadium, it's going to take a lot to knock out an EX Pokemon, let alone a Mega EX. So anyway, we got Drapion, Scraggy, Scrafty, and another Holo Rare is Pangoro. This is not the Pangoro I was expecting to be in the set, but for 1 dark and colorless, you can do Throwdown for 30 plus. How much time we got left? We still got a few minutes, but anyway, you may discard 1 item card from your hand. If you do, this attack does 40 more damage. It's okay. And then of course Hammer Arm for a darkness and 2 colorless. Does 8 damage, and you discard 1 card from the top of your opponent's deck. Not too bad, but not what I would run either. So anyway, we got Clefairy, Clefable. Is that a holo rare? No. Klefki. Klefki is actually decent. As long as this Pokemon is in play, your fairy's type Pokemon's resistance becomes -40 instead of -20. So if you run a fairy deck, this might come in handy for like an Eviltal deck. So it's actually fairly decent. Fairy Lock's not that good though. I mean, for 2 energies, 1 being fairy and colorless, you can do 30 damage, and during your opponent's next turn, the opponent's active Pokemon can't retreat. Not that good, but hey, its ability's worth a little something. And Sylveon's a holo rare in this as well. Spinning Ribbon for 30. Choose 1 energy attached to the opponent's active Pokemon and move it to one of his or her bench Pokemon. Not too bad. And Echoed Voice does 50, but during your next turn, does 50 more damage. Dragonite EX. This is a cool looking card, but not that good. And I'll explain why. Ability Barge In. When you play this Pokemon on your bench, you may select any number of basic energy cards attached to your Pokemon and attach it to this Pokemon. Then, if any energies were attached in that way, switch this Pokemon with your active Pokemon. That's decent, but the attack Jet Sonic that takes a grass, 2 grass, and a lightning does 80 plus damage. And if you discard an energy attached to this Pokemon, you can do 40 more damage. Not that good, but you know, I could be judging it wrong. Sorry about the trying to think about if there's any strategy involved in that, but you never know. There might be, and I've just not seen it. So anyway, we got Vibrava and Flygon. Flygon's cool, but not that good. Noivern's actually interesting. Echoed Illusion. When this Pokemon would be damaged by an attack, flip a coin. If heads, prevent all damage to this Pokemon by that attack. So not too bad. Only downside is it's a 50-50 chance, but hey, at least it's fairly decent. You got Lickitung, Lickalili, Eevee, a very decent Eevee too. You attach an energy to this Eevee, and you search your deck for a Pokemon of the type of the energy attached to it. Like if you attach a Fairy energy, search your deck for a Sylveon. Patrat, Watchog, Slack Off, Vigoroth, and Slacking's a holo rare. For 3 colorless, you can do 50 damage. Choose one of your opponent's active Pokemon's attacks, and during the next turn, that Pokemon cannot use that attack. So not too bad. Good for stalling. And of course, for 4 colorless, you have Haymaker. 120 damage and discard an energy attached to this Pokemon. That's not too good. And of course, Tornadus, not a holo rare, and Noibat. And for the items, we have Tool Stripper. Choose 2 Pokemon tools attached to your Pokemon and return them to your hand. That's not too bad, but I wouldn't run it in a deck. Maintenance, shuffle 2 cards from your hand back into your deck and then draw 1 card. Meh, that's not too good. And you have Jaw Fossil and Cell Fossil. Those are for, gosh, what's it called? Tyrant and Amara. Radiant Grown. The Pokemon this card is attached to can't be affected by special conditions. Not too shabby. Focus Sash is really good. If the fighting Pokemon this card is attached to would be knocked out by damage from an opponent's attack, this Pokemon isn't knocked out and its HP becomes 10. Then discard this card. This card is way too good. I mean, I would still personally prefer Muscle Band just to save some Machamps, but it's still at least worth running 1 or 2 in a deck. It's really good. And for supporters, you have Fossil Researcher. Search your deck for up to 2 Pokemon named Aurora or Tyrant and put them onto your bench. Shuffle your deck afterwards. So, not too bad if you want to run a Fossil deck. Karina. This card I'm looking forward to. She is going to help a fighting deck a lot more than Skyla could ever thought about helping. Search your deck for 1 fighting Pokemon and 1 item card, reveal them, and put them into your hand. Shuffle your deck afterwards. So basically, she's like a Skyla on crack for fighting Pokemon. Definitely running this when I'm building my Lucario deck. It's going to be really amazing. And Battle Reporter, draw cards until you have the same number of cards in your hand as your opponent. I may run one of these. Because if you have no cards in your hand and your opponent like Colresses for like 10 and they can't use anything, it may come in handy. You never know. But at the same time, it might not be the best thing to run. So anyway, we got Fighting Stadium. This is one of those broken cards I was talking about. The attacks of each player's fighting Pokemon do 20 more damage to active EX Pokemon. Really good. And then Training Center is another Stadium card. All Stage 1 and Stage 2 Pokemon's maximum HP is increased by 30. Not the best card in the world, but it might be. I mean, like I said, there might be something that I'm not seeing. And Mountain Ring, each player's bench Pokemon receives no damage from attacks. This might actually be used quite a bit. We may see this in tournaments. And for the special energies of this set, we have the Herb energy, or the Herb energy, which provides a grass energy and can only be attached to a grass Pokemon. And when you place it on that Pokemon, it heals 30 damage. That might be a Heracross thing, because of Heracross's attacks. And yeah, like if that minus 180 is on there, you can heal some damage off of it, even though I don't know, it might not be that good, but it might be. You never know. But the strong energy is what I got my eyes on. It provides a fighting energy and can only be attached to a fighting Pokemon, but every one of its attacks does 20 more damage. A muscle band energy. That's what I like to call it. And that's the reason why fighting type Pokemon are going to be broken. Now the rest of these cards are ultra rares that are full art and gold rares, but we'll take a look at them because they're cool. This is Heracross. Heracross looks like he is looking up at God. It looks really, really, really amazing. Seismitoad, not the coolest full art, but hey, it's a full art, so any full art looks cool in my book. Now the Lucario full art looks amazing. Oh my gosh. I did not think that the Lucario EX could be any cooler, but they once again blown my mind away with this full art Lucario, and I cannot wait to get my hands on this card. That's right, I am getting that card one way or another. Dragonite EX looks pretty sick, actually. If only he was a better card. Not saying that he's not a good card. He's decent, but he's just not too good in my book. But he just looks so cool. I mean, if it weren't for Lucario, he'd be the coolest looking EX card. And then, of course, you're having full art supporters here. You have Fossil Researcher. This one looks... Well, I mean, you got the little Amora. Looks kind of cute. Karina. I was hoping they would make a full art Karina because I'm wanting to hollow out in this Lucario deck, and I'm probably going to run like 3 or 4 of this card whenever it comes out. And she's got this little... It shows her like using the Mega Ring, and she's got this angry look on her face. Oh, she just looks so cool. She's ready to kill you. It looks a lot cooler than her regular art. I just can't get over that. That looks so cool. And then, of course, the full art supporter Battle Reporter. This actually looks really pretty. I mean, that's about as best as I can explain it. I mean, it looks pretty. And there's Gold Rare Heracross, Mega Heracross EX. Only difference is it's got gold borders. And Gold Rare Mega Lucario. The only thing that disappoints me about the set is I was kind of hoping that they would change it just a little bit. Like, I was hoping they would make full art Megas, but where Megas are not too big of a deal right now, and after seeing that Machamp, I don't think Mega Lucario is going to be as big of a deal as I thought he was going to be, unfortunately, but you never know. I mean, like I said, I may still run him, but he might not be necessary anymore. And of course, Hawlucha EX is the promo. Its ability is if this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, and is damaged by a Pokemon's attack, you do put 2 damages on that. 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. And for a fighting and 2 colorless, you can do Moonsault Stout, which does 60 plus damage. And this attack does 40 more damage if there's a stadium in play. So, if you have Fighting Stadium in play, this will do 100. And if you have Machamps and Strong Energies, this actually might be a good card. As much as I like to say it, this might be a good card. I thought this wasn't going to be that good, but I'm wrong. It might be somewhat fairly decent. But that's pretty much the whole set, guys. Thank you for watching, and I'm sorry this video was a little long, but hopefully I'll have more Pokemon videos up for you guys soon, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.